am so excited for this video. So today we're gonna talk about 5 amazing and super thoughtful and fairly low skill gifts that you can DIY. All of these have been field tested and approved by me. Let's get into them. Hey friends, I'm Sarah, also known as Budget Girl, and I personally love getting and gifting DIY gifts. Anybody can buy me a gift card, but if you actually spend like your time, your talents, and you think of me, well, you're getting me something, maybe it's more personalized, I am going to remember that fondly, essentially forever. And those are the types of gifts that I try to give. Also, because back in my debt payoff days, I had more time than I did money. I focused hard into handmade, personalized, gifted things that were maybe thrifted, maybe more thought of to customize to a person and their interests. And I've been known generally as a really good gift giver over the years, so it's fun for me to try to level it up every single year. Here are 5 of honestly my best. Now, the first gift, it's honestly too late to do it for this year, so don't get your hopes too high, but now would be a perfect time to start this for next year. And I know that sounds like a long way away, but the time is going to pass anyway. So the first thing is homemade vanilla. So Jake and I made this year. It's pretty easy, it's not super expensive, and the turnout is absolutely amazing. And you can customize it a lot. So this says Stella Vanilla on it, and it has my sweet little dog's face. And in here we have Madagascar vanilla beans, and this is honestly the best vanilla I've ever tasted. This has been sitting since the summer, kind of marinating to get super rich and delicious. So let's talk about how to do this. First off, this is for our 21 and over crowd, but you start with a bottle of vodka. We use Tito's. This is 1.75 liters. And this, see how dark it is? This is awesome. A lot of the vanilla you buy in stores is artificially darkened. This is actually dark from just the beans. And then you get vanilla beans. You can get these online, sometimes in world market type places. This is about $20 for a pack of 25 beans. That's where we could source it. And this 1.75 liters cost me about 30 bucks. So $50 together, but this will make so many little bottles of vanilla. You of course do them any size. We got these online. I think I got 50 or 100 of these little bottles. They are plastic. And then these little labels cost only about 10 bucks. We printed them on a home printer, and it's really, really awesome. All you have to do is for every 8 ounces of vodka, you need at least 1 bean. And so for this, we pretty much use about 20 beans and stick them together, shake them up, and then every few weeks or so, shake it again. It will just get richer and more delicious. You can actually start eating it or using it in recipes after about 8 weeks or 2 months. But if you let it sit for a year, this is gonna be amazing. So something to definitely consider. You can customize it and create a really, really cute little gift. People are gonna absolutely love this, especially if you customize it to something funny between you and them. Love it. The Stella Vanilla came out to about $1 each, including the alcohol, the beans, the little containers, which I bought in bulk, the print and label, and I didn't count the string, but yeah, we're talking about $1 each for something really, really cool that especially the people who bake in your life are gonna love. And vanilla is one of those things that when you buy it at the store, it's very expensive, so it is a higher quality gift for not a lot of money. Number 2 is for if you need something a little bit more instantaneously. Similar thing, a rum drink. This is Cane Rum that we made, and you can do this in about an hour. So all that you need for this is some rum or other liquor and candy canes. All you do is fill up a jar with candy canes and then pour the alcohol over it. Mix it together. The candy canes will dissolve. You can see a little bit of the sugars on the bottom there. Once again, shake it up, bottle it. We created this super cute little label in Canva, same as this one, and then printed it off on some Avery labels from Office Depot, and this is an absolutely delicious shot. You can use it as just a holiday shot, or you can use it as a ingredient in a hot toddy. Some people even use this as kind of an alternative to cough syrup. Really, really delicious and strong. These probably cost about 50 cents to $1 each. Candy canes are very cheap, and especially if you buy them in bulk, and then whatever alcohol you can get your hands on. Honestly, the quality of it doesn't matter, nor does it for this really. You can do quite a lot with a little from this. Number 3 is a non-consumable. It's actually wood burning gifts. I made this wood burned ornament, and I actually made one of these for each of my student workers and co-workers, and I let them decorate it for their stockings at work. And I made some of these for friends and loved ones. Believe it or not, this is actually pretty easy. I would not consider myself super skilled, and before doing these, I had never wood burned anything before in my life. So here's how you do it. You do need a little wood burning kit. This was about $20 at Walmart. I bought it a while back for something and then revived it when I found these ornaments at a store. It was like 8 for $2 or something like that. They're just little wood ornaments, and you could pretty much do this on almost anything. You could wood burn a bookmark or a little tray or anything wood that you could give to somebody, so you can highly customize this. Now, how do you get the beautiful letters? Because I didn't think I could do this at first. It's actually really easy. In this particular kit, there's a little round flat plate tool that you can use to transfer ink. So I used Canva again, printed up this font, and then reversed it when I printed it, applied it to this, and used the wood burn transfer tool, just kind of rubbed it all over, and it left an outline, and then I traced it, because anybody can trace something. This turned out amazing. I made one for Vince and Beth, and like I said, all of my student workers and coworkers, everyone loved it, and this is going on our tree, and it's gonna be here every year. It was super easy to do. I knocked out like 12 in one night. My hand cramped, and the entire house smelled like fire, but very, very easy to do, especially after you do one or two and really get the swing of it. Each of these probably cost me, including like the tools, a sheet of paper, the $20 kit, cents. Gift number 4 is honestly my favorite, but I will say this is the most time intensive. Not only are you going to need to spend time sourcing things related to the people that you're giving them to, but it does take more time to make. But I guarantee you this is so worth it. And we've given these for a couple years in a row now. The people we have given them to still talk about it from the first year. It's the type of thing that people will hang on to for life. I'm talking about secret books or book safes. You can actually make these yourself. They're really, really cool. Jake and I source these throughout the year. This one is for actually one of my bosses who is an ex-military member and now runs the College of Architecture at the TMO school. So I thought he would find this funny. This one is going to a math professor that Jacob works with. It's finite mathematics. We've had the best time looking at used bookstores and at Goodwills for absolutely hilarious book titles that would match people that we know and love. I've even been able to find like old TAMU textbooks and gift them to faculty members that teach those subjects. And Jacob's old boss, who's now retired, kept her book, which was a How to Read and Write Better book, when she ran the tutoring center and the writing center, on her desk from the day he gave it to him until she retired, and she still talks about it. All right, so this one, here's what it looks like on the inside. We have a few pages, bought for an inscription, and the price on this says $4.99, but I remember getting it for I think $1.99 or $2.99 at a Goodwill. And it's an absolutely fantabulous gift, if you'll allow me to make up a word there, that can then sit on somebody's desk or at home. They can keep their little secret treasures in it, and no one will ever know the wiser, because this is 100% one-of-a-kind thing that has been customized to the thing or the subjects that they loved and hand gifted and made by you. I think this is so much better than a normal like secret book safe that you would get. It's so cool. All right, let's flip to Sarah, who was in the midst of making these, to show you how to do it. And then the majority of the investment is our time in doing these. So I'm gonna show you how. You're also gonna need some cutting boards. We have a bunch of these that we cut up from the Dollar Tree, and something heavy to weigh these down. First, what you're gonna do is source a book. So one of Jacob's superiors is a biologist. He loves animals. We found this vintage textbook that is of no use to anyone anymore, but is a beautiful hardcover book with some really cool graphs and printing. We actually skipped a lot of pages in the front here so that he could look through them. So you're going to set off a section for the front before the secret part. The thicker it is, the easier that is. And then what I did was I measured out just with a ruler and pen here where we're gonna cut. You need at least 1 inch on all sides. I just marked it with a pen. Then for a book this size, I'm gonna use one of my handy dandy cutting boards. Close it to protect these pages up here. open the back because we do need access to that. And then I'm going to use Mod Podge to do a nice layer all around the edges here to seal this book shut where we're gonna cut it. At this point, you wanna leave the back off because cutting it's gonna be a lot easier if you just are working through the pages. Once you have this sealed, once you Mod Podge this, you're going to want to protect the back with another piece of board and then put it down with weight on top of it. We actually use weights like this and we stack a bunch of books together and that presses the Mod Podge together, or it doesn't let the book expand and harden at that level. You want it nice and flat so it looks like a real book. I'll let this sit overnight under weights until it completely dries. All right, now next, the cutting of the books is the hardest, most time intensive, and most miserable part. If you can do it faster, which I'll show you how, it makes it a lot easier, but there are a couple ways to do this. First, you can use a box cutter or an X-Acto knife, but depending on how thick your book is, that's going to be pretty miserable. You take it, cut out pages along your lines, being very careful, of course, and work yourself all the way down through the book. If you don't want to do that on a huge novel, you can use a multi-tool cutter. We started out with a kind of cheapo one and very quickly decided that we wanted a real power tool for it. So we upgraded to this DeWalt multi-tool cutter with a wood thick. This is actually really, really useful for a lot of different home projects, but it's obviously not something that everyone would have in their basic toolkit. So completely up to you on if you would want to upgrade to this. But it's nice and it makes this go fast. If you're gonna use a multi-tool cutter, bring your pages and covers that you don't want cut over to the side. Use a scrap block of wood underneath. Don a mask because sawdust will get everywhere. Go outside and then cut yourself through the book. This also gets a lot easier with practice, but you're essentially just cutting down. Our tool died in the middle of this one. Because you've already Mod Podged these pages together, they will start to split like this, but it's going to be so much better than the book just being loose and flappy and flying everywhere because it's starting to act like a brick that you can cut through in one piece. So don't skip the Mod Podge step. After you've cut through the book and you just have this core flap, you can then glue the back on. And what you're gonna do is re-Mod Podge all of this, getting all of this saturated and squishing it down and smoothing it on the inside and the outside. Use one of your cutting boards to protect the top, squish, smooth out all of this so that you don't have like big globs of Mod Podge coming through, and then weigh this down until it's completely flat. We put a lot of books on top, a lot of weights on top, sometimes a plant on top. You want this to squish down to its original size. All right, so after cutting and re-Mod Podging, and having these weighted, it's now time to move on to the next step. So first, I'm going in with a box cutter knife and just kind of shaving off any bumpy little areas or places where the kind of sawdust of the books has welled up that might not let this peel and stick felt really stick nice and smoothly. I do highly recommend peel and stick felt over regular felt. We did the first year of a few books with Mod Podge and felt, and it just gets kind of hard and not nice feeling. The peel and stick felt has a fully sticky back and it's much more forgiving. So, but before I do that, I'm going to take one page to kind of cover up our little errors. So we have, you know, a little bit of overcut, a little bit of pencil, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And we save some pages intentionally at the front for this. What I'm going to do is make an X here and then go ahead and tack it down to make all of the edges and any places where it might not look super nice in here just a little bit more polished before we go in with the felt. I'm going to cut the page immediately before this down in order to just kind of better finish off these edges. Let's do that. Also, a reminder that this is a homemade gift and nothing homemade is really going to be perfect. It's okay. Personally, I think that flaws in a homemade item just show the love and work that was put into something. I think it makes it more special and gives it character. All right, I'm going to feel for the edges. Very light coats for this one. Remember, we're really only gluing 2 pages together. And then some on the inside. And that helps disguise just a few of the flaws. It is bubbling up a little, but it'll be okay. The first thing I'm gonna do is cut some small pieces for the top and bottom and stick them in. And then I'll do a piece that kind of bridges like this to fill in the rest. I have done it before where I've cut a piece ever so perfectly with the cutouts and measured and made it all one piece. Honestly, not worth it. When you push felt together, it kind of disguises itself, so don't make it harder on yourself than it has to be. Once this glue is dried, it should really only be a few minutes. We're ready to add the peel and stick felt. As you can see, super accurate measuring. Then I'm just gonna peel this off and stick it down as best I can. If possible, you do want to align the top cut kind of as best you can to the edge, because that's going to be easier or harder to trim than just kind of folding stuff over at the bottom. You can measure this out if you want, or you can do it this way. After a lot of books, I'm doing it this way. It will stick to itself, but it will also unstick from itself. I am just guiding it down and around. There is no perfect way to do this. And if you mismeasure a little, not too bad. There we go. You can see that you can't tell that it's multiple pieces. I've honestly cut these accidentally and had corners open. I've just used a little piece. You shove it in there, and I think it looks pretty great. We do have a dust jacket for this, which looks pretty cool. So for this one, it did have some staining or something on the edges of the pages, so we painted it silver. Now you have to do that first before you do any of the Mod Podging or anything, or else it won't stick, but I think it looks pretty great. We've done that in silver and gold before. And now, open it up, I'll write a little inscription, a couple pages, and our secret spot. Would you like getting one of these? I feel like anyone with a soul would. No offense, little offense. The last thing to do is add a little inscription, ideally with the date and a little personalized message, and wrap it up. Perfect gift. I'd like it. The perfect gift. And we're back. So the cost of these is going to be highly dependent on what tools you use to do them, and if you have to buy the cutter tool or stuff like that, and of course the cost of the books. We've been able to source all of the books for these from secondhand stores, thrift stores, etc. So the cost for these books is usually about $2 to $5 each. The cost for the peel and stick felt is about $1 each. A little bit of electricity and a little bit of Mod Podge. It's really about less than $5 each, but it will cost you your time. If you have the time to do these, and I highly suggest starting early because they do take longer than you think, you can make an absolutely amazing gift that honestly people will will keep forever. And then for 5, I don't have a physical example, but I do have some videos on it, and you can find recipes all over the internet. It's another consumable for you. One of my favorite things to give out is Christmas crack, which is a recipe my family's been doing forever. It's 2 Ritz crackers with some peanut butter between, and then just covered in melted chocolate. It is amazing. It's like an upgraded Reese's. So good. You could also make turtles with, a Rolo and a pretzel and a nut. Handmade, homemade chocolates are always a hit, and is a very easy way and low cost way to show someone that you care for them, that you think of them, even if they might not be in your budget for spending a lot of money on, especially for people like coworkers or people that you kind of engage with, but that aren't really like your chosen or born family. No one's ever going to turn down a gift like this. It's absolutely from the heart. It's delicious. It is sustainable and oh so good. I would love to know which of these you would consider trying, or if you have any DIY gifts that are your go-tos. I love learning about more ways to create cool stuff for people that they're really going to love and enjoy. So I would love to hear about those below. I certainly enjoy trying new things like this every year, and I'm already kind of noodling on what to try next year, though realistically, Jacob and I have about 7 or 8 more of these to do. Good Lord. It's gonna take a minute. I also have a great amount of resources on my website, budgetgirl.com, on how to survive the holidays, the end of the year spending season, and how to prep yourself for a successful new year. So absolutely go check that out if you have a little bit of time, which I know you don't, but it might be worth it. Which of these would you most like to receive? For me, it's this one, but I've always been a bibliophile, so there's that. But I would enjoy getting any of these. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.